Hello, and welcome to Attunement. In this podcast, I, with the help of some of my powerful friends, will be exploring healing personal, intergenerational, and collective wounds, the side effects of oppressive power structures, activation of connection to spirit, oneness and awareness, and the intersectionality of it all. Let's connect the dots.
We very much need to get outside of our boxes. All the boxes need to be...
The media boxes and the political boxes, especially.
Yeah, we need to get back to just human as like the main box.
So the biggest transformation, and the reason why this has like been an important meeting for me, is that like a political party can only be like expression of a broader movement. It's not the sum of a broader movement. But a movement itself is like nourished. I don't know why I'm thinking in French, but it's alimenté. It's like nourished and fed by a transformation in culture.
Alimentado.
Thank you.
Which is kind of more profound than just to say it's nourished.
Exactly.
It's like it's nourished. It's deep rooted.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Giving you what you need.
That's exactly the term.
Mm-hmm.
So the transformation in the culture is the thing that will actually give the long-term success. Because if it's just a political intervention, then it'll wax and wane with like changing political circumstances,
yeah.
Exactly, and structures. But all of the people that I've studied, the people that I've learned from over the course of time, what they did was they initiated like a reorientation in the culture, and then that feeds all kinds of like movements of inner
work.
And the thing is that
the micro affects the macro.
Of course, because like so
and the macro affects
start recording
it's a reflection
on
of itself.
Well, but here's
recording.
It's recording. Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
I got you.
So here's the
We're
thing.
here for the truth,
right? So we have these complex arguments, right? And different kinds of people will take different ideological positions, and somebody will say, I'm an anarchist, or I'm a Marxist, or I'm a socialist, or I'm a progressive, or this, that, and the other.
Yeah, I mean, we're trained to label ourselves in this system, you
Yep.
know, that the compartmentalization of our beings is like a tool of empire in a lot of ways, you know, because it allows them the opportunity to use our individual realities against each other.
Divide and conquer 101,
totally.
right?
Period.
So identity boxes, that's the divide and conquer, tool of imperialism, 1,000%. And on top of that, right? So all of these people will have different archetypes of the society that they want to build, and then they get you arguing about which model you're supposed to be using. But all of my teachers,
semantics.
Exactly, semantics, and you get you caught up on details. Literally, it was a strategy of COINTELPRO.
Literally,
they literally put it in documents saying like introduce like small disagreements and have long arguments that occupy meeting time so that nothing can get accomplished. These are directives.
And social media comments amplified that to a whole nother level psychologically.
So that
you
end up like responding to a concern that comes from 0.001% of the people, and you spend all your time on that instead of building. But then on top of that, right?
Instead of building,
which is
why I wanted to talk to you guys.
Instead of building,
because I feel like. Excuse me. I
no,
didn't
you're good.
you.
No, you didn't interrupt.
I want to more so just like set the scene because
do.
we've been recording, but we haven't said hello to the people.
Say hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to an episode of Attunement. I am here today with the lovely Dr. Jill Stein and Dr. Butch Ware. Okay, and y'all know who they are, and if you don't, we're about to find out. So, hello and welcome.
Thank you kindly. Good to be here.
Great to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Of course.
I'm really grateful.
Wouldn't have missed it for the world, man.
Yes.
So the basic lesson from the West African tradition is that different people had different models on how to build the structure, right? And they all worked. And the reason is that they were less concerned about the shape of the structure than the structural integrity of each human brick in the structure.
The integrity of the structure itself.
Exactly, because if all of the hearts of the people that occupy the structure, what difference does it make what the blueprint look like? If every individual brick is broken, then you don't build anything. And that's why the inner work is always the predicate for success of the outer work.
Absolutely.
There's supposed to be a direct connection between like getting getting people healed from the damage that like white supremacy and imperialism have done, because otherwise you just wire that pain and trauma into whatever structures you will build.
Because systems are built of people.
That's exactly it.
We can talk about how they've created the wheels that we have become cogs in, but the real issue is that the wheel doesn't spin without the cogs. And so if the cogs all wake up to the fact that actually I'm a lot more than a cog, like I low-key could be a wheel.
Yeah.
Or I could even like just get out of this entire contraption actually, because it's kind of killing me.
Yep.
And we can move from our individual power into like collective people power that I think would actually reflect where we are as a collective consciousness in America right now, especially my generation and the younger generations.
Yep.
Like we are so beyond older people telling us what is right or wrong for our futures when it is so obvious that both political parties in this duopoly are backed by corporate dollars and systems that are destroying our futures and our potential futures. Exactly. And they're also destroying our realities of current. And instead of, I feel like the Republicans' jobs is to be so abrasively, like cartoonishly evil that it makes the way that the Democrats move so much more digestible.
They're just playing good cop, bad cop.
Exactly.
That's all they're doing, but they both cops.
They're both cops, exactly. And not only that, they're well funded by the same industries that are killing us. And that's where I wanted to have this conversation with you guys, because I've always been very politically active, just because I'm a firm believer that our political reality does very real-time damage to real-time people.
Yep.
And even though some of us have the privilege, myself included, in a lot of ways, to tap out and not have to participate and not have to talk about it, I believe my role as an artist, I to the likes of Nina Simone and what she says about artistry, of just, we are here to reflect the times, and we are here to be a voice for the inner worlds and make sense of the inner workings on this micro level that we're talking about, to make it make sense for the macro in a larger way. And although I don't, believe myself to be the savior of nothing, and I don't believe y'all are the savior of nothing, if I'm being honest, I really deeply believe in your humanity, is what I've been seeing expressed. And that's why I really want to talk to you guys, because I don't see humanity when I listen to Kamala speak. I don't see humanity when I listen to Donald Trump speak. Oh, yeah. That's a joke in of itself.
That's like a whole two-legged demon right there.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's not a human being.
And I didn't hear it when Biden spoke. And I think that the Democrats made a really nice strategic move to put Kamala in after primaries and kind of pretend that they had no idea what they were doing, or that they didn't know Biden was senile.
It was planned all along.
This is what I'm saying.
To take away people's voice, because they don't want any input from ordinary people.
Yeah, and manufacture consent.
Yep. And they didn't want her scrutinized any more than they wanted Biden scrutinized.
Yeah, but Biden's easier to scrutinize right now in this climate. In my opinion.
Well, and he's also out of contention now.
Right.
But they did not want him, to be in debates and, in primaries and all that, so he was just inflicted on people. And his huge, infirmities were denied. And, and now Kamala is basically getting the same kind of protection. And by definition, this political system defies humanity. Humanity is not allowed. You sort of have to pay the corporate
tax
overlord here.
Yeah, no, literally.
The political system is dehumanized through and through. So it's like, if there's anything unique about our campaign, it's that, and the party, is that not only are we not funded, who funds you runs you, so to speak.
1,000.
So we do not, who funds you runs you.
Period.
And the Green Party, by definition, does not accept corporate PAC money. We do not accept super PAC money. We don't work with super PACs, which is how billions come in.
Not only do we not accept APAC, we don't accept APAC. Like we would any PAC, any PAC.
That's right. We also
no PACs.
We don't use any of the loopholes for legalized bribery and legalized corruption, which are the name of the game in the system. So we have learned. AOC says we are spinning our wheels, that we're being predatory. No, we have been learning over the course of 20 years how to fight back in this political system. And we have been the only non-corporate, sold out political party that has survived.
With consistency.
Yeah. Exactly.
Over 40
all the
years.
others
Over
are
40 years.
eliminated.
I want to
they
speak
are
to that
wiped off
actually.
the national platform and the national landscape altogether. We are the only non-corporate, non-sold out party that has been able to live to fight another day
exactly
where we are now recognized as a, as a line in the sand. It's like we are the vehicle for political opposition and for change
and actual
for political
progress.
integrity.
Yeah, imagine.
I think to me
go
it's
ahead.
more about it's
And you
largely to
can't
do with
that.
the progressive agenda, right?
And you can't do this without learning how to do it. It's not like you can read a
like
book.
everything in life.
Yes.
Nothing comes without experience. And you have to fail a
Exactly.
lot of times before you get to a point where you're strong enough or ready enough for the position that you're being prepared for.
Yes, Eugene Debs.
I believe that deeply on a spiritual level too.
That's facts.
Exactly. And Eugene Debs ran for president 5 times in order to really acquire momentum.
And also, I don't even want to have that conversation about who's qualified and who's not qualified when Donald Trump is literally an option here. Like 50% of an option, supposedly. You know what I mean?
And in my view, they should all be disqualified.
Absolutely.
For the fact that they
They're
are genociders, they are war criminals,
felons.
and they are bought and paid
Criminals.
for.
Domestic-
don't forget domestic terrorists.
What's
terrorists.
disqualifying?
What
That's
is disqualifying? It should be.
Yes.
Can
alas.
I go back to something that you said earlier, Lauren? Because I
Absolutely.
want to just add a very, very small piece to this. Like, because
Yes.
you talked about humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that, like, for me, like, joining this campaign, like, working with Dr. Jill, what I'm struck by is that, like, the authenticity, the integrity, the moral clarity, the courage, and the comfort in being who you are in your own skin, that's what we share. And the thing is we were...
And y'all are not the same person.
At
sitting
all,
across the table from me.
that's like that's what people are responding to, because it's like we're from different generation, right? Jill's 20 plus years older than I am, Jewish white woman. I'm Black Muslim man, but the thing is that we are both
bound by heart
and fully comfortable in our own skin, so we relate to one another on a human level.
Your insecurities can't be preyed on
when you don't have them,
because you don't have it. You're both so sure of who you are and your principles.
Come with it.
It's your principles too, because you have a track record of principled behavior. And I think that that's the most important thing for me as someone who's going to use my vote in this election to do something.
Yep.
Whether I cast it for Donald Trump, Kamala Harris,
It's going
or
to produce
y'all,
an outcome.
it's going to produce an outcome.
Right.
And what I've been grappling with throughout this process, and I appreciate also, I want to shout out Jason.
Yeah, Jason Call is legit.
He's very grassroots in the sense of he's so communicative. He's so good to respond. He's so good to like check in with me even about my capacity to show up for this. You know what I mean? Because in a lot of ways I do take shots. In the public. I'm in Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have to say nothing else.
The Zionists are going to
This is what I'm saying. No, yo, I was on the website where the Stop Anti-Zionism website. I had a whole I'm anti-Zionist of the week. So it is what it is,
And
but I'm not.
anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism.
Never. I love my Jewish friends so much, and I love. You know why?
I'm
Because
running
I
with
love
one.
humanity, and I'm bound by heart to the people that I surround myself with, and to the people that I encounter, and the people that I choose to interact with energetically in this lifetime.
Yep, that's
And
real.
I'm very picky about who I do that with, and that's why I was kind of a little like in and out of our connection.
sure.
I'm not gonna lie, because obviously I'm on the internet too. I'm seeing everything. I see, but I'm not gonna lie.
And you're sticking your neck out.
I am. You know what I'm
totally
saying?
are.
And also
Yeah.
the ways that I have been reacted to, because I have more leftist praxis in my politics and more. I'm an abolitionist, bro. Like, I'm so sorry, and I have been for a long time, because this system is not working for anyone.
Anybody.
Literally anyone. Not even the ones that think it's working for them.
Thank
They're still killing us. They're still killing themselves.
And they're
their
killing
children.
themselves. They're gonna ruin a planet. They're gonna have a pile of money to sleep on, and a
ain't gonna
planet
be
that's
able to
destroyed. No
sleep.
planet. No
They're not
planet.
even gonna be able to sleep.
They can't win.
If we even survive into next week.
This is what I'm saying.
You know?
And this is why.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is why.
Yeah.
Not even to be alarmist, but just to be a realist.
Well, Lebanon is exploding right now.
No,
And the
1,000%.
battleships are on their way.
And
Troops are on their way. There are 40,000 troops already there, each of which is
40,000?
there are
already in the Middle East
40,000
stationed
U.S.
throughout
troops
the
already in the Middle
US?
East.
40,000 U.S. troops stationed throughout the Middle East. Yeah,
I'm finding this out in real time, y'all, with you, probably.
That's just the standing, like that's the resting
Well,
bitch. That's the resting bitch face of American imperialism.
Oh, Lord, just
Is 40,000 troops on the ground in the Middle East.
And more are going. Each of these aircraft carrier contingents and the destroyers.
5,000 troops per aircraft
about
carrier.
5,000 troops that go with them. And what is the sentiment being expressed by Biden-Harris administration? It's not Israel, get your ass out of Lebanon, which was what Ronald Reagan, for God's sake, that great peace advocate.
Not even
Ronald Reagan.
When you're worse than
demanded.
Reagan, y'all, we've gotten somewhere for Syria.
No, but
yes, and this is the
Kamala has lived her whole life to the right of Reagan.
She loves it.
Yes, she sure has. And they are sticking by Israel, and the question is,
I've heard her.
Who can pledge allegiance more to the state of Israel?
And why I mentioned Jason tapping in with me and the way he tapped in with me. Of course, please.
I just want to add one other headliner here,
of course,
which is that the draft is back. And you are registered, by the way, because
I know.
the registration is automatic. Women are not yet.
Period.
But men are.
But my brother is.
Yes.
But my brother is.
Lots of our brothers
and guess what?
and sons.
These kids that I'm taking care of today,
and fathers.
Rio is registered.
Yeah.
And when he turns 18, he's going to be registered. And I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
How can you be okay
None of us
with
should
it?
be okay.
Remotely. None of us should be okay
it is
with
a
it.
turnkey system. It is ready to go, and they know where you are. They have all your info. They know what your retinal scan looks like.
And they've been building police states.
Absolutely.
Police
Cop
cities.
cities
That's what I meant to say.
everywhere.
That's
right. And all that needs to happen now is for Joe Biden or Kamala Harris to say, this is a state of emergency. We need to bring the troops.
Well, I literally listen to what both sides are saying. I go into those spaces and I read what they're talking about in one space, and I read what they're talking about in another space, and then I go into my own space and I'm like, what the hell are we dealing with? This is madness. Everyone is mentally ill. What is going on? Yeah. And it's not even like on some judgment shit. It's just on some, we have been repeatedly traumatized for centuries. Generationally, we're dealing with intergenerational trauma coming up as a collective and as individuals in this moment as a collective. Because I look at things I'm an artist, bro. So I live in the spirit realm. I'm out here with my crown chakra on, and I'm talking to spirit, and I'm channeling spirit.
You bring something from the unseen world into the seen world every time you produce art.
Por eso. Exactly. And so I say that to say there's a lot of sense when I heard Donald speak, because I watched a interview that he did with like a streamer named Aiden Ross. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to this just to understand what the perspective is. Yep. What are they so rallied behind? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he really does talk about these prices are insane.
Yep.
You guys can't afford to live. We should not be in these wars.
Right.
This war would have never happened if I was in office, because I would have done. Of course it's not. Of course it's not.
And he won't do anything about the other.
But I'm saying, I'm more speaking to the points that he's saying that are speaking to the Americans that are looking for something outside of established politics, is what they saw in Donald Trump, because they're not educated politically beyond that.
Right, and because they are denied other options. Because we not only recognize...
They're denied visibility of other options.
Exactly. They are denied the other options because the Democrats and the Republicans know that their time is up. Their time is up. It totally is, because we not only recognize the crisis of healthcare and housing, that half of all renters are 1 or 2 paychecks away from eviction.
Homeless, so
yeah. Like so many.
This is my house, but it's not my house. My friend is letting me stay here.
Yeah. I mean, what a commentary that is. Yeah, that someone of your stature and your success.
My proposed stature, right? Because the internet is one thing, but human life is another.
Yes, exactly.
This world, this system, this capitalistic structure.
To finish this point about the illusion of Trump and the illusion of choice. There is no choice here, because while Donald Trump will recognize, he will give lip service to these catastrophes, but he will do absolutely nothing about them.
He uses it to emotionally rile people.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's manipulation.
It's manipulation.
Right.
And he knows that because he's a businessman.
Well, but he's also a narcissist, gaslighting, toxic male. So that's what he's doing. He's playing the same kind of emotional manipulation that he did with all of his exes, that he abused them systematically.
And his daughter, and his sons.
Yeah,
and when we have an opportunity to get to the microphone, as we did on the Breakfast Club, people are absolutely blown away. And you'll hear, I mean, if you read through these thousands of comments, people are saying, you know, one of the most common comment and the most approved comments is that I wasn't going to vote in this election.
At all.
Now I'm going out to register green.
Period.
That's it.
Yes.
That's the point.
And that's what
the
they're
point.
afraid of,
and that's
though.
visibility.
Yes.
That comes with visibility.
Right.
And that's the entire current political apparatus is set up to make it so it's an illusion of choice, as you said.
Yes.
Between two people who are different faces for empire.
Yes.
And there are certain principles that are attributed to either party that have flip-flopped throughout the years, regardless of the party's inceptions, that make Republicans think they're Democrats.
And vice versa.
And make, you know what I'm saying? And that's what keeps the liberals on
Did you
their
ever
trajectory.
think we would get to a place where the Democratic Party would be rehabilitating Bush, Cheney. And Reagan?
Never in my fucking life. And that's another reason why.
For the
The
record,
way Kamala's been speaking and the way that when I watched what Trump said, I was like, all right, I see why he's able to manipulate people who do not have a better sense or education on political
they don't know
praxis.
history or
They don't know
politics.
history. They haven't been given that information because also we've been divesting from the
control.
education system since a long time. You know what I'm saying?
So all of
can I-
that,
oh, yeah,
plus
go ahead.
there's enormous corporate control, not only over media and social media and their censorship, and there is active interference. It's not coming from Russians, it's coming from Israel.
Americans.
Well, and especially from Israel. There's now definitive
I don't understand
proof,
how
a big expose last week specifically about the dollars coming from the Knesset. Millions of dollars flowing from the Knesset to nonprofits in this country who are then drumming up. You know, why is it all of a sudden all these college campuses have
so much
identical
money,
policies? Well, and they have identical policies
They got
for
their marching orders from the same
suppressing
people.
the anti-genocide movement. They have identical policies. Why is it
Well,
that
they're very
there is-
organized.
They are.
That's something I gotta
and
give
they're
them.
funded, and they are breaking the law. They are breaking the law. They all deserve 15 years in jail,
Period.
which is what you're accused of if you, if you're out there
Conspire with the
advocating for
4-H.
reparations. If you're advocating for reparations, as Omali Yashatila from the Haru Group, the African Socialist People's Party, accused of basically conspiring with Russia for advocating for reparations. So reparations is a Russian tool.
Meanwhile, you can dictate to college campuses what their policy on student and campus
So
is going to
why
be.
are they not in court for 15 years for breaking FARA laws?
Because they serve empire.
The foreign...
Because the agenda serves empire. And that's literally why people approve of what's going on in the Ukraine.
And we can't allow them to get away with that.
And we're not going
And just to point out that people are not...
We can't.
It's not only that we're propagandized, but there is method to this madness.
I know.
There is active
It's methodical.
interference.
I mean, also, we have to
on
just
behalf
consider-
of foreign entities whose interests are not our interests.
And even beyond being a foreign entity, it is a incestuous entity.
It is, totally. It is,
Because to me, Britain
Say it.
gave birth to America.
That's right.
That gave birth to Israel.
You know-
That's
to
right.
To
That's
the
right.
Zionist project, excuse
Yes.
me. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
all of it is a manipulation of very real life trauma, of very real life people who have had
Yes.
very real life fucking experiences.
Yes.
And that's why they can get us on the dividing and conquer element of things, which they're not able to do anymore. There has been a massive move to suppress voices on social media. But I have been a part of this movement since October 7th, very heavily involved in the entire process.
Thank you so much for that.
And y'all too,
Yeah.
what? Like
Hey,
all of us.
Game recognized game.
Amen.
So, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
We do.
Yes.
But it's gonna take each of us individually playing the role that God put in our hearts, is my opinion.
100%.
Absolutely.
Because it's about harnessing people power and starting to disrupt and dismantle these structures. Because as much as the proposed leftist ideal right now is like, if we don't have a perfect candidate, they can't be on the ballot.
Nonsense.
And I think that's nonsense because, first of all, our two options are the opposite of perfect. They're actually self-described as two evils.
Yes.
You can talk about the word lesser if you want, but evil is evil. There's no
Evil is
lesser
evil.
And good
negative
luck.
of evil. Both
Good luck figuring out
operations.
which of these genociders, one who's conducting genocide now and the other one who promises to finish the job, both of whom, are promoting the police state and the surveillance state and the cop cities under democratic municipal governments in particular, and, Democrats in particular who are driving the censorship agenda. So, the notion that the Democrats are the greater evil here is just not...
Are the lesser evil.
Are the lesser evil.
So
they are not the
let me-
lesser
To me,
evil.
they're the greater evil.
Let me jump in
if I'm
on,
being
let me
honest.
jump in on this particular
And I'll tell you
point.
why I think that. May I just say
please
something
do.
real quick
Yes.
about
Please do.
that point that you just made? They're proposed as the lesser evil because they are more socially civilized.
Yes.
In the sense that they know how to speak to people without the intention of being incendiary. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because Donald Trump's approach to politics is let me rile up the person within this, to get my audience and my agenda so clear with what I am, which is I'm racist, I'm misogynistic, I am homophobic, I am pro-empire, pro-business over people, pro-profit over people. All of these things I am that, I embody that, and I'm also going to pull that out of the underbelly of American consciousness that was put away when we started liberal politics.
You get them to be comfortable in public saying it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And Donald Trump normalized them being so out in the open.
Saying the quiet part out loud.
Exactly. And I think 2020 and the BLM movement and the entire moment that we saw unfolding of the collective consciousness in America realizing that they live in a police state. And that the police state is a reality for natives and black folks, and it has been, and for immigrants, and for people who we call illegal aliens, whose ancestors,
don't forget working class
migrated all throughout our lands.
Folks. Don't forget all of the people that capitalism exploits. So here's the part that I would add. What you just described. What you just described, that veneer of civility on top of brutal fascism. That's what Malcolm described, and Malcolm was my first teacher.
I love Malcolm.
You know, that was my door to Islam. That was my door to political consciousness. What did Malcolm say? Malcolm said that the white liberal is a fox. It bares its teeth, and you think it's smiling. The white liberal, he said, poses as the Negro's friend and benefactor.
It's not even white anymore.
No, but that's the point. And so that's the second point. Is that
that's the diabolicalness.
Well, and that's the divide and conquer piece. And that's what I said on the Breakfast Club, right? Is that now they are weaponizing blackness itself in service of white susupremacy. That's what Kamala represents.
Yes.
No, but the thing is,
so inceptionally diabolical.
Right, but here's the beauty of it. Here's the beauty of it. Is that the part that you pointed to, which is that these are fundamentally unhealed people whose trauma is now being weaponized against other groups. It's literally a repeat of the way that Holocaust trauma leads to Nakba.
All of our trauma, man, leads to us either repeating
because
patterns or breaking them.
Because hurt people hurt people.
But healed people heal people.
And we got a doctor and a professor.
2 doctors, baby.
2 doctors.
2 doctors in their own rights.
Exactly. Well, and it's fair. But I'm happy to wear the professor label just to mark the difference between between healing and teaching. You know, and both are.
Say it again, sir.
But both are healing and both are teaching, right?
Yes.
And that is really fundamentally our job, is to get people healed and educated and in their right hearts. Because as soon as you are in your right heart, you perceive the way that you are being manipulated, exploited, abused. You perceive
you don't project anymore.
You don't project anymore.
And all that conquer and divide shit is out the door. Because all of us have the same issues right now.
And then this symphony that comes with seeing the common humanity in somebody that speaks a different language, has a different skin tone, all of it. It's it becomes, and I, as a Muslim, literally this is right there in the Quran. God says, we created you in different tongues and colors so that you would know one another. And when the West African scholars say the meaning of the word, the implied meaning of the word to know in that verse is to love. We created you in different tongues and colors so that you would love one another, because what you each contribute.
Have to learn to love.
And because you have to be, because you cannot love people you do not know.
Or you can, and this is how. And this is where I also believe so deeply, first of all, in the message you just said, and this is again why I wanted to meet with you both, because when I listened to you speak on the Breakfast Club, when Biden was gonna be in office, I was on a full trajectory of just, I'm 100% gonna vote their party. It's not even a question for me personally on a moral level, because I can't. And then when Kamala came into the picture, I was like, okay, curveball, wasn't expecting that. I wasn't, to be honest. And I'm talking more so as just
of course,
someone who follows politics, who's not necessarily a politician, you know what I'm saying?
Fair,
but who really genuinely wants the best for humanity and for the best for us.
That's it.
And I think about this on a micro level as an artist. When I write my art, I do it from a place of wanting to understand my pain and wanting to understand the shit that I've been through, so that I can make sense of it in a beautiful way that someone else can listen to and feel like, oh my God, that made sense for me now, because I've also been through that.
And that's
where I am with the politics and why I want to talk to you guys, because I feel that way when I speak to you, in the sense of you're like, guys, we want to be wholesome leaders. We're offering you an opportunity to actually not have to compromise your values,
Nope.
your moral authority over
Nope.
your own life,
Nope.
Yeah.
and your own decisions.
Yep.
And to actually understand what kind of a precipice we're at in collective consciousness right now.
Yes.
Because it's not even just about what has or hasn't worked in the past.
No.
This is a very special moment we are living in together.
It is about
And
the
we need
moral,
change.
the moral, the metaphysical, and indeed like the physical extinction of humanity is at stake.
Is at stake.
Our
And it's not a joke.
Our humanity, and I'm motioning to my heart, our humanity is at stake, and our humanity is at stake.
Literally,
if we
the
cannot
world.
get healed, then we will destroy this planet
Destroy
and one another.
ourselves.
And genocide is really the microcosm
you.
of where we are right now. We are self-destructing. We are destroying our humanity.
We do it
are
to ourselves,
we
too.
are normalizing the torture,
Of
the
children.
daily torture
Of children.
and murder of
And innocent
2 million people,
and even
largely
men
children.
don't deserve it either.
So no one deserves this, and we are normalizing it. So it's not just Gaza, and it's not just
No.
the
Sudan,
empire.
the Congo,
it is
like,
it's
there's
all
so
of
much
that,
going on right
and
now.
it is also our physical environment. It
And
is
how
our
it's interconnected.
oceans. It is
And
all
how-
interconnected.
That's the key, though. That's what I
Yes.
think people are missing in this
Yep.
conversation about left or right or red or blue or this or that, like all of that bullshit. That's what we're missing, is that everything is interconnected.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
What's happening in Palestine when people say, oh, you're a single voter issue, or you're a single issue voter,
yeah.
excuse me.
Yes.
I haven't really said anything about what I'm going to do personally, and I'm still figuring it out. I want to meet with y'all not to endorse or anything, but some more I want people to hear you speak without being challenged by absurdities of
An
propaganda.
attack dog, yes. Democratic
And I
Party
saw
opposition.
that in the Breakfast Club.
It was
What I saw,
hysterical.
and what I saw in the Breakfast Club, but you know what? It's not even COINTELPRO. I really think I want to give her flowers in the sense of I understand what she thinks she's trying to protect, and I understand what for real.
I know,
because-
I'm laughing because I know what she's trying to protect. Go ahead.
yeah,
No, I
but
get it.
it's an ideology beyond who she is. It's an ideology which is that they like to feel identified in politics. Identity politics is effective because people are very in their heads in America, and they're not in their bodies because we have been so traumatized psychologically by being lied to on a regular basis, hardcore during COVID. I think COVID hardwired switched up a lot of our psyches
It did.
because not only did shit actually get harder tangibly in the physical realm, like inflation and all of these things that started to roll out about Donald Trump's policies coming to fruition.
While the billionaires doubled their wealth.
Tripled.
Don't
Yes.
forget.
Tripled. And what we're talking about right now is having to appeal to people's humanity more so than their fear. And right now, both parties are appealing to people's fears. And I think that you guys offer a voice of human nature that's like, hey, we see you're hurting. We see you're struggling, and we don't want to exploit that.
Right.
We want to heal that.
Yeah.
We want to start the work to heal that, because that's not something that's going to heal overnight.
Not
No matter how many
overnight,
promises
not
these
overnight.
politicians make, nothing can change in even a 4-year situation.
Generational trauma needs generational healing,
Healing.
bro. Like,
We
it's
are
not
going
this ain't
on.
rocket science.
And we need to create this. Is what I see and what I say to myself is we need to render the system obsolete.
Oh, yeah.
And in order to render the system obsolete, you need to divest from it your attention, your time, your money. Those are the most valuable currencies that we have in this realm as individuals. And the more that people are able to heal on a micro level within themselves and their own relationships, the more we're going to see that reflected in the outer systems. But right now, people are being put into these categories of whether or not they're deserving of healing or deserving of an opportunity
How about
to
just
even put roots
deserving of
down
mercy?
to grow.
Like
Yes,
deserving of mercy.
yes.
Deserving of mercy.
Of mercy.
Of mercy.
Like
By these supposed Christian structures, which is
Deser-
really disgusting to me.
And-
because I grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
And Jesus to me, or Yeshua to me, is so
Perfect embodiment of
much-
mercy.
and love.
Mercy and compassion
Yes.
and love.
compassion
Nothing
and love.
else.
And his
Nothing
entire
else.
message is about
Same in Islam, by the way. That's what Jesus
of course.
represents.
Well,
yeah.
because they're both Abrahamic
Of course,
religions that
yeah.
originate from
Yeah,
the same lands.
exactly.
And that state of being hurt and being traumatized breeds divisions. You know, it's like if you cannot see the beauty in yourself, it's very hard to see it in others, and you then become vulnerable to demagogues and to, you know, Islamophobia and anti-Semitism and
Externalizing
xenophobia.
your self-hatred.
Jill.
It's really important, you know, that what this is about is not only loving ourselves, loving each other, but then understanding our power, because we are, not only are we trauma is inflicted on us and then it is reinforced over and over again in the same way that powerlessness is. And when we realize our power, it's like a virtuous circle. By understanding our power, we give ourselves more credit, more love, more TLC, and then to others. So it's like as we heal ourselves, we become,
right now.
What's that?
I'm on that journey right now.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
That's what my album will speak to.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And one at the same time, as we understand our micro-healing, we become macro-healed. And as we become macro-healed, we become unstoppable.
And we create new structures.
And
we're
we
smart
have
enough
them.
And imaginative
We have them
And
right
we have
now.
the
We have
abundance.
we have
we
both
have everything that's
the
needed.
solutions. We could have healthcare right now for everyone at far less the cost. We could be saving $500 billion a year specifically at the same time that everyone gets healthcare coverage comprehensively. We can also be preventing this major body of sickness.
All these crises.
Health is not just in the medical office. Health really starts in our communities,
With the
in our food
toxicity in the
system,
environment.
in our air, in our water, in our consumer
in
products.
our food, in our soil
and
that
in
is
our-
lacking nutrients because Monsanto and Bill Gates have destroyed
and
it.
in our political system, which
is also
allows
toxic.
and enables all of this predatory exploitation to happen. So it's like a virtuous circle, and in the same way that bad things enable bad things, good things enable more good things. And there's one point that we try to drive home every time we get near a microphone, which is that we have the power right now
Doesn't
to
have to wait.
stop this
Does not have to wait.
cycle of destruction and devastation. By denying the vote for genocide. Do not vote for genocide.
Yeah.
If you vote for genocide, you are enabling genocide. You can cast a vote against genocide. Every vote for our anti-genocide campaign is a shot across the bow of empire that its days are numbered. Its days are numbered for all kinds of reasons. It's completely unsustainable. It is impoverishing us. It is endangering us and the whole world. We are on the verge of nuclear war on at
All
least
the time.
3
I mean, they literally
areas
just
right now.
re-upped our arsenals.
Yeah.
They just
Yes,
re-upped
they're in the
Billions of
process
dollars to re-up our
of doing
arsenals.
that. And the U.S. in
They're
fact
planning World War III
dismantled.
because it makes
Of
them
course
so
they
much
are.
money.
Of course they are.
Exactly, and the military-industrial complex has taken on a life of its
Tail
own.
And is
wags the
destroying
dog.
We are
world.
now
Tail
bringing
wags the
nuclear
dog.
weapons back to Germany. They will be there in 2026. We have been placing nuclear-compatible missiles on Russia's border. That's what the Ukraine war is fundamentally about. This is fixable, and people don't have to be swamped by the confusing detail.
Nope.
We just need to affirm that our vision is right, it's just, forget the lesser evil, fight for the greater good.
Amen.
People know deep in their
And
souls.
allow yourself to do it.
And
Yeah.
people can
Give
smell a
yourself
rat.
permission.
That goes-
One last thing, people
Yeah.
can smell a rat and they can smell when you're not a rat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
They can smell real.
That's why I'm standing in front of you
Yeah, of
today.
course.
Because I've been
exactly.
sniffing.
Yes, exactly.
I've been sniffing from a
we're
distance.
and
100%
trust
real.
yourself.
And I'm like,
trust
is
your
this,
smell.
what's going on over here? It
100%
smells a
real.
little bit
Yeah.
better than what it smelled over there, which is pure shit.
I have
Yes,
two things, two pieces that won't take more than
Go ahead.
45 seconds.
Yes,
the
please.
first is to go back to this point. So I mentioned before, created in different tongues and colors so that we would know one another, the implication meaning to love. There's a West African scholar, Sheikh Ibrahim Yas, he continues his analysis of this verse. And he says, and can a people that hates itself love another?
Never.
Impossible, right? And that is what we are being conditioned towards. We are being conditioned towards internalized self-hatred because it makes that symphony of love impossible. It makes
It also drives capital.
of course, because
Because you're always wanting to buy something
you
to make
have
yourself
to.
better.
So
Sorry.
yeah. So that
I know, you're right there.
miss you.
You're good. You're like,
The voice of the military-industrial complex.
They're trying to break the point. So,
By design.
intruders. So
Your loud ass. Dude, a couple nights ago, there was a freaking helicopter shining a light on Lord knows who and just swirling around loud as hell. at 3 in the
ghetto
morning.
bird. So capitalism needs you broken. It needs you broken
you.
because you have to be in a state of brokenness to always desire that next consumable to make you whole. And there's actually even a story about this that before the time, so Adam is made in the Islamic conception, and Adam has Eve within him, so it's not a gendered creature. It's the human prototype.
The concept of Earth becoming human.
Exactly, Earth becoming human. So between the time that it's molded into form and the time that the breath is breathed in, there's a story that's told that the devil used to toss stones at this hollow form, and when it would make a clink clanking sound when it hit that clay, the devil said, I think this thing may be hollow. So it would fly into the mouth, swim around the inside, come out the backside and say, it is hollow. It will spend all of its days trying to fill the emptiness inside of it. If it's ever given dominion over me, that's how I'll break it. Has there ever...
That was like a serious word for me.
Has there ever been a more accurate depiction of the way that capitalism needs you empty? Listen, we are people. We must consume to survive. We are not gods. We are not self-sufficient unto ourselves. We all have to eat. Jill is picking at these beautiful grapes from this beautiful garden as we speak. But our need to consume can be easily distorted by our spiritual and practical enemies to put us in a state of brokenness where we are easily controlled and self-destructing. And and
I know because I've been through it.
We've all been through it. In different degrees at differing levels, of course. And if we do not understand that this is actually a spiritual attack, and I don't care what faith you practice or don't practice, if you don't understand that this is a spiritual attack on your innate humanity, then you will be defenseless in the face of it.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Last thing. I said 2 points, and it's been over 45 seconds, so apologies for that.
No, but I love it. But it's giving, though.
But the converse of that, right, that is that that need to consume requires interdependence. We must feed one another instead of starving one another. And the reality is that...
hoarding. We don't need to hoard.
But capitalism needs to hoard, and that's the point, is that we have...
It's not ego, what it looks like.
Have more than...
What it is.
We have
Substance.
More than what humanity will ever need. Already at our disposition. Just the technological advances that have come in the last 50 years, if they had been geared towards human prosperity and ending human suffering, we would have, instead of trillionaires, insane utopia already. Like, no one would be hungry. But the thing is that capitalism needs to hoard to produce scarcity, to produce profit.
To produce billionaires.
To produce billionaires.
To produce people who are broken people, also traumatized, who are trying to fill themselves with these demons
they'll never get full. They'll never get full. They can't get full. They're vampires. The more blood they drink, the more blood they need.
The fear aspect of it is that the capitalist economy requires a certain, and this is just economic theory, requires a certain level of unemployment and a certain level of suffering so that it can look to the people who are working and say, work harder or you're going to be like them.
It needs that reinforcement. It's like during slavery times where you had the poor, sharecropper who owned the land, quote unquote, or the person who's, going around and looking at the slaves, making sure they stay in line.
Overseer.
And they can't even get half a thing to eat.
No, because
I'm sorry, I did not say that eloquently, but you know what
it's the overseer class, and
the overseer class.
But this is important though, because this fills in a key piece.
Yes.
Because that is the other part. See, I don't have any doubt that we will be able to appeal to lots of Trump voters.
I agree.
Because the thing is that white supremacy has always been a lie. There's a lot more humanity in a lot of them than is being proposed. Yes, so, and I said this, is that yes, Trump himself is a white supremacist and a racist.
He's awful.
Yes, the actual, Nazis and white supremacists and racists, they all side with that. But the majority of the people in that movement are not inveterate racists.
They just don't want their taxes up.
And that's what I said. I said literally.
That's kind of down to a single issue for them.
They see, and by the way, I've converted guys in MAGA hats just with that point. It's like, listen, all other things being equal, if Team Blue and Team Red are equally criminal, then I would rather pay less in taxes. So I've literally had people, I'll vote green, because all I really wanted was a tax break in the first place. We don't love Trump like that. Yes, the inveterate racists will, but there is a huge section of that population, and that takes us back to the overseer class, right? The corrupt compromise that has always been offered is participate in the oppression of others and you will get your share. But it's a lie. It's a lie. There has never been a path to liberation for poor white people through that.
Nope.
And instead, Appalachia is falling apart. Methamphetamine addiction is rampant because the despair and the hopelessness that is at the end of white supremacy has always been written because it is devilry too.
And leaves you hollow.
Empty.
It leaves you hollow because you are finding your self-worth from taking someone else's away from them tangibly. And that will never fill you. It will only ever make you more and more empty the more you do it, and the more that it becomes a practice for you.
More broken.
And I don't believe that most of these people who are stuck in these patterns, I don't believe that they're inherently evil. I believe that they're stuck in trauma patterns because we have an inflated, bloated military and police budget instead of using any of those resources to provide community care.
Jill, tell them social housing, health, Medicare for all.
Yeah.
What do you propose? Yes, I have a couple questions that I want to ask policy-wise, so this is a great
and also let me
place to
just segue saying that fascism flourishes in economic crisis. You know, where did the Nazis?
Germany.
Exactly.
That's how Germany
even
Nazis
manufactured
came from
economic crisis.
It is manufactured. All
It
of
is.
because economics is literally fake.
It's, and somebody's
It was made
profiting.
up by a bunch of white men to like
Lauren is spitting
everything.
game right now. Wait, Jill's got to get in. Jill's gotta
So
get in.
just to make the point
Yes,
that
please.
people are lured into fascism and xenophobia and
all the isms.
all the isms.
All the
People are
isms.
lured when they are destroyed. And when people lose their jobs and they
And
don't have health care and their
There's
housing,
no self-worth.
they are destroyed.
It's why men beat their wives when they lose their jobs and can't participate
and
and,
it's why
feel
people
worthless.
become depressed. It's why suicide rates skyrocket.
Yes.
Don't forget drug addiction
Drug
and abuse.
addiction. Of course.
And we are in this
Pain.
crisis.
All of these are symptoms
These
of
are
a wider issue, which is that we're not
Exactly.
investing in ourselves as people, and it's our
because
own
we are
fucking
being
money.
because we are being exploited.
Yes.
Because we are not in control. Because the predator state is running the show. And this is fundamentally what has to be rejected. This is why we must reject, the politics of oligarchy, of racism, of colonialism, and of genocide. They are absolutely inseparable. And the war on Gaza, the war on black and brown people around the world
And black
is
and brown people here in
inseparable.
America.
Inseparable from
We
the
have not even
war on
acknowledged
black
what
and
we've
brown
done
people
here yet.
and the war on working people and the war on democracy.
Yeah.
They are all of a piece. You cannot fix this around the margins with window dressing one piece at a time. You really have to have a systemic
holistic
reboot.
A holistic
Yes.
reboot.
holistic
Because
approach,
it's kind
yeah.
of like the approach to health, right?
Totally,
In this country,
yes.
we have all these specialists who do individual organs and systems.
Right, and not
the
treat
human
the
body
person.
is a
Yes.
system in of
Totally.
itself. It is an
Yes.
ecosystem that works in tandem with itself.
Totally.
And in that way, I relate that analogy to the political
And
aspect of things.
that's
because
right.
It's a direct reflection. And also to a point that we talked about earlier, these systems are only an amalgamation of the people that
people that
make
are in
them
them.
up. And so if each individual who says, I don't have the power to change anything, or my
right.
vote doesn't matter,
Yes.
or I have to side with this in order to avoid that reality,
Right.
which is what I hear. A lot of people voting for Kamala are voting out of fear and not out of principle.
Totally.
And I'm
Yes.
at a point in my life politically, as my age, I'm 28, so I'm sure I'm gonna grow even more. But at this point, in how I've paid attention and where I've gotten to, I cannot compromise anymore.
Nope.
Yeah.
I cannot vote
Hear,
for
hear.
a lesser evil anymore. It doesn't feel right on my skin. It didn't feel right.
Yes.
It didn't feel right when I did it for Biden. But
Right.
I challenged Biden. I actually spoke about you during that, during 2020. I mentioned your name, and the amount of vitriol that I received in return was crazy. The amount of accusations of like, you're trying to make Trump win, she's a Russian spy, all this stuff. I'm like, it's funny how like the Russians are the only ones that do empire apparently, when like, it's you're taking 1,000% the same
hilarious.
thing and
Yes.
doing the same thing to all these
Yes.
other populations. But,
1,000 times over.
But
It's crazy.
so Russia can't be at the Olympics, but Israel can.
Yeah.
And and nobody wants to. And it's okay for the U.S. to give Ukraine a bunch of weapons to defend themselves against big bad Russia, but then the Palestinians.
But the Palestinians.
No.
Hey, I wonder what the difference
So
could be.
I wonder what the difference is. It couldn't happen to have something to do with hue, does it?
Melanin, that's the
Melanin
difference.
potential, melanin percentage.
Russia's not the one with 800 military bases around the world.
Say
Come on.
words, son.
Kiriana.
Say
yeah.
words.
Say it one more time.
Russia's not the one with 800 military bases around the world.
Oh, okay. And that's not to say, and here's the thing is like we get into these conversations that are more nuanced and people run with these like hot takes about what these points mean.
Oh, yeah.
You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? And that's why I like free-form conversation
Right.
because
And-
Jill had a point that she didn't finish yet.
yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes,
I'm
and
sorry.
back to your
I'm
point about people knowing their power or realizing their power or feeling powerless and therefore feeling all the more depressed and hopeless because we are told we're powerless.
Me.
Just remember, in 2020, 1 out of every 3 eligible voters rejected the options being rammed down our throats, the parties of war on Wall Street, these zombie political candidates were rejected by not voting, by 1 out of every 3 eligible voters.
This is what I'm saying.
Who
Most
are
people aren't voting.
largely young, of color and low income.
Period.
Who is
almost everybody at this point.
Who's our, exactly.
Maybe there's some white people still living there, but.
Our agenda actually speaks to and, you know, completely resonates with.
1,000.
So just imagine if those 1 out of every 3 eligible voters decided to assert our power, then guess what? We're in control. We're in control.
So this is what I want to
have
talk
a
about.
revolution in a heartbeat. And we can go into some of those
Can we talk
policies.
about this? I would love for you to
this
talk
is
about that.
practicalities,
Because,
right?
But practicalities.
Exactly, yes.
Because
Let's
this is
talk.
what I felt she was trying to do in the Breakfast Club, was trying to put in the practicality into perspective of, obviously, we've all been very bought into a duopoly. They're what move the systems. And they're also not just about the president, they're about the administrations that come with said president. And so my question would be, if your administration were to be elected, in the context of the duopoly that we very much real life live in, how would you navigate that?
How would we govern? Yes.
How would
we bring our agenda to bear?
How?
Right.
Literally how?
So let me say there are 2 really important points here. One is that there's executive authority in the presidency
And now
itself.
it's been granted a lot of authority because of the Supreme Court's decisions, by the way. Expanded the executive branch so much.
Yes. And in fact,
So you could actually do a lot more than even we could have done in 2020.
Huge. So
you've been being prepped, Miss Jill.
Yeah. So just a few things right off the top. On day 1, the war is over. The genocidal war is over. The president has the power to do that, like Ronald Reagan did, like Dwight Eisenhower did.
That's literally
with
what the executive branch is.
And by the way,
Commander-in-Chief, you're in charge of military and war.
It's why Kamala's gaslighting you when they said we're working on a ceasefire. Negro, you are in office now.
Yes, exactly.
Go ahead.
Right. So even before getting to office, we would make that phone call. The day we win that election, the war is effectively over because we then have the power to make the call. That's one thing that the president
So this
can
is
do.
what I'm saying is like, so if you say that, and let's say the Senate, for example, or the GOP.
That doesn't matter. The president can stop the flow of weapons. The flow of weapons to Israel is actually illegal anyhow in this country.
It's a literal war crime, according to the ICJ.
Well, yes, and even beyond international law, according to domestic law, it is illegal to provide military aid to any country. Leahy Act and 2 others. It's illegal to provide military aid to any country that is violating human rights, which is interfering with the delivery of humanitarian aid, and which is violating nuclear weapons treaties, which Israel is simply by having nuclear weapons. It violates the Non-Proliferation Act. So on the basis of 3 laws, the president is within their rights. The president also has the power to block the transfer. So even if Congress was appropriating, the president can still stop the transfer of weapons. So
and
it's
as
over.
president, you would do that point blank, period, no question.
Before day 1.
Yes, just on the first day of being elected.
After election day.
Netanyahu knows that it's over. So we can't stop the flow of weapons until we're in office, but we can let him know that it's on its way. It's over. So the war effectively ends the minute we're elected. Also, on day 1, we begin an antitrust lawsuit by dictating to the Department of Justice. We are taking to court the consolidated corporate media. So we break up the big corporate media and stop the lapdog journalism that has become the norm. We need to get back to watchdog journalism.
Right, and no more passive voice.
Exactly.
And no more dehumanization of black and brown people.
Yes, and no more serving
killed.
the imperial entity.
Palestinians were killed.
This man died in custody. Oh, he wasn't tortured to death?
Yeah.
Oh, he wasn't tortured to death?
Remember, the official police report said George Fentanyl died in custody, or George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose in custody. That was the official police report.
Yes.
Continue, please.
So all that, we used to have a much more responsible press. It's never been perfect, but it was far better than what it is right now.
I agree with you.
And this is why the First Amendment is first, because without a free press, without freedom of speech, and without freedom to protest,
we're in a fascist.
We are in a fascist state.
Which is what's happening in real time under a Democrat.
Under
a Democrat.
And we have the power to basically begin tearing that apart on day 1. Another thing we do on day 1 is we bring back the old-fashioned institution of congressional hearings, which is another very important way to get the truth out, to inform the press what's going on, and to inform people. So when you have congressional hearings on, for example, Medicare for all, and how we could actually have health care right now for everyone as a human right and save half $500 billion million and get your home
That's the thing,
care.
it works for capitalism too, technically. Like,
Oh,
I don't
totally.
know. Like,
yes, it does. So, and the public already supports it. So there's, it is not rocket science. The president needs to be not just the commander-in-chief, but the organizer-in-chief.
Amen.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my God.
Yes.
Have you ever said that before? Because that is a whole bar.
We say that. We say that all. I've been saying that since 2012. And the president is the organizer-in-chief, which is what Obama promised to be. He was coming as the organizer.
But he's a brilliant
But at the end of the day, he's a great speaker, and a great misleader.
End of story,
yes, total misleader.
Great
Bill Clinton was a great fast talker too.
Right.
And the first thing that Obama did, even before he was inaugurated, was to appoint Larry Summers, the architect of the latest Wall Street meltdown, to be his treasurer. So it was very clear that Obama...
They're all money laundering criminals.
They all absolutely are. Other things that we will do...
It's never been more obvious.
Yes.
More executive action.
More
here. And then
on day one.
I got something on this.
We also bring back town hall meetings. So right now, I'm talking mainly about how we re-engage the gears of democracy, which is how we drive our agenda then in the presidency, because we need to get the people back in, the big money out, and the people back into our political system. We begin campaign finance reform, and to basically, we need the equivalent of Citizens United. That will take some time to move that through the state legislatures and so on.
It'll take time, but that's what we have to start.
There's a lot we can do right now.
We keep pushing it off.
We can bring public funding back right now, because public funding is being taken away from us. This was supposed to be the alternative to the sellout of politicians to corporations. And so we can begin, because they are destroying that now, and our campaign has had actual personal experience with this. Our public dollars were hijacked by the Democrats in order to keep us off the ballot. That's a longer story. But that's also part of what we can begin
to get rid of.
Using the president's power as organizer-in-chief.
Yeah.
We also move health care for all, Medicare for all. We can begin to move that, again, through organizer as chief. That will have to go through Congress as far as I know, although there may, in fact, be executive power over that.
May I get 30 seconds right here on this particular point? So Jason really brought this into the conversation when on a car ride build, about a week ago. If we go from, let's say 5%, where we may be now, which will already guarantee, which would already guarantee us.
I want you to explain that, though, what you mean by that. So because some people listening don't know what you mean by 5%. That's what we're going for right now. 5%,
well, that's the
political strategy.
That's the lowest bar. That's the lowest bar. Well, so I'll come back to that part, but I'll flesh it out first. 5% in the popular vote guarantees ballot access across the country in the next presidential election, and it also guarantees $10 million of federal funding in the next election. Just for context, when I came on the campaign 3.5 weeks ago, the Green Party had raised $1.1 million to conduct the campaign over the previous 10 months. So this would be 10 times the amount of money. And also, most of that money that came into the campaign in that previous phase was to guarantee ballot access throughout the country, which you now already have as guaranteed. So the first threshold is that 5%. But let's just say that we clear that 5%.
Why do you need so much money?
But
I'm literally, that's what I'm curious about.
Well, that's Jill's point about campaign finance reform, but we can flesh out what the implications of the 5% are and how that happens. But if we get to that 34%, that plurality of the popular vote that translates into an electoral college victory, what will have happened is that there will have been a massive exposure of our message to the American populace. It means that even if you have no allies in Congress or no people in the Supreme Court, you have a historic mandate from the American people that none of those other branches can deny or fight against. And the reality is that if you guys help us make that breakthrough, not waiting till the next cycle, but make the change now by registering new people, then all of those crooked Team Blue and Team Red criminals in Congress are either going to have to get down or lay down because it's going down. We will have the American people at our back in a historic way.
Right. Do you need to be registered as Green in order to vote for Green?
No.
Okay, cool.
You can be registered anyway, and the main thing is to get registered.
Yeah.
I'm registered as a Democrat only because
But
when I originally registered as an independent. When I first registered as a voter when I was 18, I registered as an independent.
Can I say this though? That not in every state not in every state can you register green, but if you can in your state register green, then do it. And the reason is that it helps the media
Build the
keep
party.
score. Yeah, well, not only that, but when they see that we've doubled the size of the Green Party in California, then they have to cover it because it's now news, and it shows.
I mean, they probably won't, but
no, but the point
even
is,
when it's news, they don't cover it.
No, they won't.
But it will.
But it will
even
end
if,
up.
but even if they don't, then it indicates strength, right? We are able to say we have put all of these people on voter rolls that have never been on voter rolls, and the thing is a lot of people are waiting on the fence for us to demonstrate strength, not realizing that by waiting on the fence for us to demonstrate strength, you are compromising our strength. If you believe in this, then get with it now.
What I think is not being addressed is the fact that this is a movement, not a party.
That's right.
This is a movement. And movements take time.
They do.
Movements take generations.
And they take love.
That's right.
And that's why when you were
It's about
questioned
policy.
for your ability of whether or not you're capable of something because you don't win anything or whatever.
Which is also not true.
I found that very insulting to you.
Oh, yeah.
Only because you're persistent and you're so committed to your principles, and that's why it's taking you so long. And to sit there with a smugness of, well, why haven't you ever won anything if you're so great is really
Because I didn't sell out, girl. What are you talking about?
Exactly. It's a big disservice to how you've conducted yourself as a politician because you haven't sold out, like you said. You haven't taken money from people who would have probably projected you into the global consciousness or the mainstream consciousness much faster than you've been able to through your commitment to your principles. And I find that to be actually admirable and not something that you should be ashamed of. I find it really gross when people try to shame you because you're a woman, because you're older, because whatever.
And they wind up shaming themselves.
Amen.
Totally. I mean,
amen.
I'd say bring it on. Keep throwing us into the briar patch.
She was like, I don't even need this compliment, girl. I got this.
Yeah, bring it on because you're telling the world who you are. You're showing how incredibly obnoxious, how much a part of this very predatory system you are. So you're bragging about all this power.
I think
you
it's
have.
unconscious
What are you
for her,
doing
though.
with
I don't
that
wanna,
power? Exactly.
I think it's a little unconscious, to be honest.
Oh,
I have a deep empathy for humanity.
It's trained pattern behavior, and we
ridiculous.
We want redemption for oppressors too.
Yeah.
We want redemption for oppressors.
They just need a
too.
timeout.
They
just need a timeout.
As soon as you come up off of that oppression, you go with me.
You're right back into my good graces, baby. You can come right here for this hug.
Right back into
but you need to give up that racism.
That's it.
You're gonna need to put that ism in your back pocket. Actually, throw it the fuck out.
So I found those Angela Ray arguments there was nothing unique or new or powerful about that.
But that's kind of what you've been fortified for.
These were the talking points
and
that we've answered a million times.
I'm glad they were given to you because, like I said, I chose to do this interview because of that interview. Because I was
of course.
Okay, I didn't have the strength or courage, I think, to be the one to break into the mainstream situation.
Oh, great.
But knowing that,
now you are. Yeah.
Knowing how many people reacted to that video in such a way where they were like, I didn't even know. And I didn't even this. That's why I embarked on trying to talk to each of you before the Kamala switch anyways. Why I spoke with the PSL party, why I spoke with Dr. Cornel West, and why I wanted to speak with you, Dr. Jill, because I really, I believe that, I don't believe we're gonna win, quote unquote, by the standards of the current political atmosphere.
We'll see.
But I believe we're gonna win in the sense that it is a win for movement towards the reality that we are planting seeds for.
And we say reject. Who defines the win? We define the win.
Exactly.
And the win is by playing the cards that you've been dealt in the most powerful way possible. Well, who knows? So there are 3 of them that are potentially splitting the vote as much as 3 ways. And we are the only anti-genocide, anti-war, pro-worker, pro-climate emergency, reparations, everything. We are the only one. So we are a unifying campaign that could bring in a lot of votes. The question is, do we own our futures here? Or are we talked into powerlessness and hopelessness? It's like flick the switch in your brain, Don't let them keep you imprisoned in an abusive relationship who's really being traumatized and abused into powerlessness. Flick the switch from powerless to powerful.
You are powerful.
You are powerful. And
individual.
You can register. You can vote to stop genocide and to start an America and a world that works for all of us. Amen. So we have the power if we decide that we do.
I also want to add, not only do we have it if we're able to wake up to it, we have it astrologically, and I'm just going to throw this in as a little woo, baby. We have so much going on astrologically speaking right now that lends to us having the power for a real life revolution. It happened in France.
It's a convergence, baby.
It happened in France, and it's possible to happen here.
It absolutely is.
Because the skies have never looked the way that they do planetary-wise since the American and French Revolution, the last American and French Revolution.
Yeah.
And so,
don't forget the Haitian Revolution. And there was a whole
absolutely.
In my first book, The Walking Quran, I told the story of the first actual anti-slavery revolution. It actually took place in the Senegal River Valley. You never heard of it. 1770, same time period. So I'm gonna go out on this. I'm gonna go out on this. 4 revolutions that brought freedom, and 2 of them were led by black folk, and they actually abolished slavery. They didn't compromise with it. So here's what I'll go out on. Yes, we know that it's a long shot, but I was raised in the black Muslim tradition. That black Muslim tradition of Malcolm. Malcolm said, "Never let your enemy tell you how many of you there are." You will internalize their diminishment of your force.
Power.
We do not know how many of us there are, and they will never tell us. We have to tell them.
Amen. By the way we show up.
By the way we show up. And then that brings a second point.
Making a hard choice.
And my black Muslim tradition is not just Malcolm, it is Muhammad Ali. And when I got tagged into this fight, then I take it the way, and what? And did Muhammad Ali get in the ring with Sonny Liston saying, "I can't win"?
Hell no.
No. Did he get in saying, "I'm gonna be a spoiler"? Hell no. He said, I'm gonna knock that sucker out. And so yes, it's still a long shot, but that is a soft chin on Team Red. And by the way, Team Blue is already dead. They can't win any of the swing states that they need without the Muslim vote, and they've lost it, they've fallen, and they can't get up.
Say it.
Look up the numbers. They're gonna try to blame you for a Trump victory, but they've already lost. They've already lost.
And also,
they've already lost.
That's the strategy too, is Project 2025
is to blame you for it.
To blame you for it. Project 2025 has been in the works since Reagan.
That's what I said. 45 years.
45 years at this project, and this is the first time you're hearing about it because the Democrats realized that there was no way that they could capture what the movement behind Palestine has evoked, which is an intersectionality that has never been seen on a global scale.
Not just
and
America.
All of us calling out empire for what it is and making a choice, making a decision within ourselves to not participate and to not give up our own individual power to put out a vote or to give our attention to something that will harm us in the long run and is offering us zero solutions no matter what side of the fence it's on.
And the bottom line is that they will try to persuade you that they own your vote. They don't own your vote. They have to earn your vote.
Amen.
They could earn your vote simply,
public servants.
And they could do this with one thing alone, simply by saying the genocide is over and the flow of weapons is done.
And they refuse to do that.
They could.
They don't want to win.
They
don't want to win.
They would rather lose this election than give up the genocide and the empire. That is on them. It's not on you.
Project
Don't
2025
let them blame you.
The thing is that if you watch the last 45 years of history, and they're bringing it up right now, Democrats and Republicans have been working together. They are both pointed. They are both pointed in the same direction, and they'll come out right now and say Project 2025. But the reality is, the Democrats have done nothing but help the Republicans get closer to it over the last 45 years.
The Democrats have been funding the most extremist Republicans. They not only lifted up Donald Trump.
Dick Cheney, enough.
Well, yes. and where did Donald Trump's election actually get, where did it come from? It was boosted by the Democrats. By their promoting him with their media contacts. It was called the Pied Piper strategy to lift up the most beatable candidate. Well, guess what? When they were running the candidate that they did, she could not beat him. But they still have not given up that strategy. In the midterms in 2022, they spent some $50 million promoting the most extremist Republicans in their primaries so that they would be easier to beat in the generals. But meanwhile, they launched the careers of these extremist Republicans, and they changed the culture of the Republican Party.
And this is what they do.
So Democrats are not the solution to fascism. Their agenda is actually the cause of fascism. Their neoliberal agenda of austerity, of privatization, of big tax giveaways for the wealthy, and endless war. This is what drives working people to despair and madness and further to the right. So don't for a minute think that Democrats are the solution here. Don't. They are the problem. They are the problem. We have the power. This is the time to stand up and use it. An America and a world that works for all of us is within our reach the minute we decide that it is.
Amen. You heard that? Thank you so much, both of y'all, for coming through. I know y'all gotta go. We could probably talk for a million hours, but thank you guys for your time.
We'll continue the conversation. Peace and
This
blessings.
was awesome.
Amazing. We'll do a part two. Bye, y'all.
Great talking with you.